So hello everyone, it's your girl Beauty87 here, aka Grace, and today I figured we can get into some of my favorite palette combinations. So basically, y'all know how I do the palette mashups and all that. I do that because I feel like those palettes will work well together, or they have like I told y'all, palettes that have incomplete color stories. I like to put those with palettes that I feel like have better color story, or have something that I said that palette was missing from in that video. I'll try to remember to link it up above, but I did a whole series about palettes I had that I felt like just need help as far as going below the palettes in order to give what I need in a palette, or what I feel like works in a palette for me. So I'm going to show y'all like 4 different sets of palettes here that I have that I feel like work best together. Not that they don't work fine on their own, but together I feel like they're just like the dream palette to me. So let's get started. I think I'll start off with ColourPop, because you know they have 500 million palettes. So I like to pair the So Jaded palette with the Fade into Hue palette from ColourPop, obviously. But with Kathleen's palette, it's nice because it has a lot of the deeper, darker mattes I would be looking for, as far as for outer V, and sometimes for crease work, depending on how smoky I'm trying to make it look. So I like to pair this with this monochromatic colorful palette because I feel like it has some of those lighter, brighter shades that I need. So if you all haven't seen on Instagram recently this week, I've been like doing monochromatic looks combining this palette and Kathleen's palette, because some of the mattes from Kathleen's palette are deeper. So I prefer to have like, not the deeper mattes from hers, and then sometimes I use some of the deeper shimmers toward the back of the eye where I put the deeper mattes, and then like go with the lighter gradient of shimmer. So that's why I like to combine these two palettes, as you can see, because this one I feel like has a good color story for the deep dark version of the outer V that I need, and then these have the lighter tones that I need when I want to have a lighter shade in the crease that I feel like doesn't necessarily work out with this palette because it's more of a grungy feel. So I like to combine these two palettes for that reason. I don't think I've done a video with me combining these as a palette mashup. I've been trying to hold off on the palette mashups just because so many palettes have been coming out recently, and I'd rather just use those palettes and not necessarily do palette mashups. But for a while, when palettes weren't interesting in the stuff they would come out with, I didn't want. That's why I have a lot of older palette mashups you all have seen, like the one that went up last week, because I don't know when you all are going to see this video, but like the ones from the BH Cosmetics palettes, combining those and combining the blue berry muffin and the what is it, the bubblegum or whatever, because a lot of palettes they were coming out with I wasn't that big on. But the next two palettes I have to talk about, I combine, and I feel like it'll be obvious why I combine them. This is the Tiny Marvels palette from Mel Thompson and the Natasha Denona Trio Chrome palette. I feel like a lot of these shades don't work necessarily for people my skin tone, but I bought it to try out the formula because I heard it had those creamy mattes in it again, and necessarily a huge fan of those. But I feel like you can see why I love Mel's like pastel-y looking colors that match the ones in Natasha's palette really well. So I like to use Mel's Mantis, and I like to use Jewel Bee, and I like to use her Flutterby shade to supplement for the mattes that are here that I feel like are just too light and look kind of ashy on my skin tone personally. And then obviously I use the Trio Chromes because that's what this whole palette is supposed to be about. But I do use Mel's shimmers to put in the inner corner, since there aren't really any other mattes in this palette other than the Trio Chromes that you're gonna obviously put all over the lid. So that's why I feel like these two work best together for me, and that is why I like them as a palette combination, because I get the Trio Chromes in her palette and I get the darker outer V colors in Natasha's palette for the most part. And then like for those bright matte shades that I'm looking for that I feel like are lacking in this palette, that aren't deep enough for my skin tone but they work better in Mel's palette, I use those, and that's how I combine them together. So the next one I have, you all saw me do it in a video and heard me explaining why I did it this way, but I have the Lime Crime, the Greatest Hits Bangers palette, and then I have the Scott Barnes, what is it, Color Bomb palette. So I like to combine both of these just because I feel like they're they don't have any bright tone colors in here to go with like some of the bright shimmers they have in here. They just have more neutral and warm tones, and I'm not really that big on that. So I felt like Scott Barnes palette helped me out with that, because he had like this bright pink matte, and then he had like this deeper blue, and y'all know I love my blues and my greens, and sometimes I just want to use this as an accent color in this lower lash line. I can go in with some of the simpler, grungier shades in this palette right here. So I feel like they complement each other well for that reason, and that's why I like to combine both of them together. But the Scott Barnes palette is fine on its own. It's just I feel like I'd only be able to make nice warm tone looks with this palette on its own. And since it has those purples and those grungier tones, I'd like to have a few more mattes that I feel like it just doesn't provide, that aren't warm toned. So that's my reason for those. And the last one I have is actually a newer one. It's the one I'm wearing on my eyes right now, in addition to another palette that I already did 3 reviews, 1 look. I'll try to remember to link all the palettes or the reviews or whatever in the upper head. I mean in the eye up front, I make no promises. But I have the Norris palette from Open's Eye. This is what's, I'm sorry, Open's Eye. This is what's on my eyes right now. And then I have the Kaleidos and Angelica palette, the Club Nebula. So I feel like the reason for this will be obvious, just because of the conversation I had with y'all before, and how I told you Karen Harris and I were talking about how you want those deep, colorful mattes, and how a lot of palettes are lacking them. So Angie made sure that she had those. And then in this Kaleidos one, as you can see, they have like the nice multi-chromes and shimmers and whatnot, but again, it's lacking those deeper toned mattes. The only deep one you have is really this brown and this color. And it's like, if I want to do any other looks, I don't have any other mattes to go with them. Like this blue is fine to go with this red, but I might not always want to do that look. Like I might want to just have a red matte to put on the outer V and just put that red over the lid real quick. So that's where Angie's palette comes in, because as you can see, she has all of the dark mattes that you need to put in the outer V to go with this palette. And then I can just use like all the multi-chromes or dimensional chromes in here, and then I can put like her topper shades on top of them if I want to, or I can use her topper shades in the inner corner and just use the shimmers that are in this palette and the mattes in this palette. So I feel like these will be a great combination. I haven't put my theories to the test yet, as I literally just got done filming this one 3 looks 1 palette situation. And this palette, I already did my 3 looks 1 palette on. You can check that out. But yeah, I feel like they're definitely going to be a great combination. I am going to do some looks at home Monday with them to post on Instagram for you all. But yeah, those are some palettes that I feel like are great palette combinations. Like, you know, one palette goes better with the other one, or one supplements for what the other one is lacking as far as whatever it's lacking. But anyway, I hope you all enjoyed this video. Remember, you all are diamonds. I'll catch you guys in the next one.